Past the top of the hour, and most definitely welcome to the whole County Diary segment, and got the whole opportunity to freshen up and take a look at what is happening in your specific county. We'll also be taking a look at across the borders what is happening internationally. But right now, let's cross over to County 032 in Nakuru County, where very own Chichi Josephine is. Chichi, very good morning to you. What is happening there in Nakuru County?
Well, Stanley, a very good morning to you, and I hope you're having a beautiful morning. And of course, as we await for the commencing of the Climate Change Summit 2023 at the KICC in Nairobi, we get to understand what are some of the things that we've been doing as a country and also as a county that has been leading to climate change, and also how best we can be able to mitigate the effects of climate change. And Nakuru County is one of the front runners in matters, or rather in addressing matters of climate change. And in the year 2020, in May, the then Governor Lee Kinyanjui, of course, assented the climate change, that is the Nakuru County Climate Change Act, or rather Bill 2020, hence becoming the Nakuru County Climate Change Act of 2020. He also assented the Nakuru County Water and Sanitation Bill 2020, also becoming the Nakuru County Water and Sanitation Act of 2020. And also another one was that he assented the Nakuru County Solid Waste Management Bill of 2020, also becoming the Nakuru County Solid Waste Management Act of 2020. And assenting these three pieces of legislation was the very first step in creating a framework, of course, in dealing with matters of climate change in the county. But even with these three pieces being assented, have we been able as a county to deal with matters of climate change? Have we been able to mitigate the effects of climate change? Therefore, I'll be, of course, talking to one of the locals here in this particular county who understands things are revolving around the county so well, and so I will be engaging him just to tell us as a county, have we made any milestones so far so good, even after assenting the three pieces of legislation. Therefore, thank you so much, Bwana Benson. And as we commence the Climate Change Summit in KICC, we get to understand, we as a county, we have the three acts, that is the water and sanitation, the climate change, and the solid waste management. All this was to mitigate the effects of climate change. Have we, of course, been able to implement the climate change action according to you?
Thank you very much. My name is Benson Macharia from Nakuru. One thing, after the passage of the Climate Change Act for Nakuru County through the last administration of Lee Kinyanjui, we have actually been able to establish what we call the Climate Action Plan ward committees, which have actually been trained. And even right now, as we progress right now, we are just waiting for authorization of funds that are meant to be able to steer the same. And also, when we look at the Water Act, we look at the amalgamation of the water companies in terms of addressing the water shortage that has been caused by the climatic change within Nakuru County, and we hope that will be able to done. But on the issue of solid waste management, we still have a long way to go, because so far nothing has really happened apart from rehabilitation of the Kyoto dam site.
And of course, we have the county funds that were set aside, of course, to deal with the climate change. Do you feel, as a person, that these funds were used appropriately?
One thing that we have not come out clearly is the question of utilization of the funds, because even as per now, no funds have been released for the mitigation of climate change within our wards, because so far it was just only the training of the committees, but so far nothing has been dispersed for utilization of the same to be able to mitigate the same.
And what do you think as a county, and also as a county, we're failing in matters climate?
I think one of the things, they must include all the stakeholders, which has been one of the lacking issues. Again, also, there have been change of guard for those who properly understand where the genesis of issues of climate change, where we have come from, those who have supported the legislation by involving relevant. You find that at the end of the day, nobody, and one of the key actors have been left out. And this, in a way, is affecting the way it is being implemented in Nakuru County.
And of course, when you talk of a change of guard, initially we had Governor Lee Kinyanjui, we currently have Susan Kihika. What would you tell is the difference between them when it comes to coming up with ways of mitigating climate change?
I think when it comes to the last regime, Lee Kinyanjui was a bit practical. in terms of the policies and legislations that were sent in order to operationalize some of these needs, both locally and nationally. We could see many acts were sent that time. But since that time up to now, since the advent of this new administration, we have had a challenge in terms of coming up with new laws and legislation, because so far, myself as a critical stakeholder, have not been involved in any lawmaking process of addressing some of these issues that are belaboring the people of Nakuru. So we can say the last regime was a bit proactive in terms of coming up with those laws, but in this one, I think there's laxity somewhere which they really need to improve.
And we have the Water and Sanitation Act of 2020. Do you think as a person, residents have been able to access clean water?
I think we have had a challenge, because you see previously we have been managed by 3 water companies, that is Naivasco, Naruasco and also Nawasco. But when this Water Act was established, it was supposed to bring some level of harmony, so that even the ownership of these companies can be brought truly under the county government, and also on the issue of the Public Finance Management Act in terms of utilization of funds for these water companies. Because right now water distribution has not actually been able to achieve majorly in Nakuru County, because we lack the coordination and improvement, because Nakuru County government is not giving out any other money to this company to be able to operate, but in the end they are also implementing their own plan by making sure that they are also drilling boreholes and all that. So we need combined effort in terms of operationalizing the Water Act, so that the Directorate of Water can work together with all the water companies, so that we have a common ground and allocate funds for equal distribution so that residents can all receive water.
The very final question, we talk of ecosystems, and when we talk of ecosystem, we talk of Lake Nakuru National Park, and around that place we've been having quite a lot of problems, especially the rising water levels in that particular area. What do you think the county has to do in regards to ensuring that people around that place are not being affected?
I think we have had a lot of negligence when it comes to settling the community around the park that were affected by the flooding of that area. And all these are matters of, they are all effects of the climate change that has happened. The water levels have risen to levels that have actually displaced some community around the park. What we expect from the county government is that they should come up with a compensation plan, resettlement plan for the people around that park, those who have been affected by the climate change, and above all, the changing patterns within Nakuru County in terms of rainfall and all that, because they are affecting food security. And so we want to see that county government are strongly coming out with actionable points that can be achieved within a specified period.
Thank you so much, Bwana Benson. Therefore, Stanley, that is one of the stakeholders right here in Nakuru, of course, addressing the issue of climate change, more especially when we talk of climate change in this particular county. And of course, he's talked about the implementation of the climate change action that has not been done appropriately. Therefore, remember that we also talked of the ecosystem and Lake Nakuru. We have the Lake Nakuru and we also have the Lake Nakuru National Park. And the Lake Nakuru National Park has, of course, witnessed a drastic change in the last 10 years, also as a result of climate change. And we talk of this, we understand that Lake Nakuru's size has increased from 44 square kilometers to 80 square kilometers. This is quite worrying. And of course, with the increase of the lake side, we understand that Lake Nakuru is the home of flamingos, and flamingo population has been declining every single day. And of course, as a result of climate change, we also understand that the water body rising has, of course, affected people living just close to the lake, because it has claimed quite a big tract of land, and of course, affecting farming in that particular area. That are some of the things that are happening here in regards to the climate change. And even as we commence the Climate Change Summit 2023 at the KICC Nairobi, we hope that these are some of the things that will also be addressed. And we talk of emissions, Stanley, just briefly to, of course, explain to people what it means, or rather what has been going on in this particular county. And on in matters emissions, the baseline emissions inventory revealed that the GHG, that is the greenhouse gas that has been emitted in this particular county, of course, are 1.7 tons of the carbon dioxide, and the most emitting sector is the transport sector, or rather the most emitting sector is the stationary energy sector with 42.8%, and also we have the transport sector. Remember, since we were elevated to a city, there's been a lot of rural to urban migration, and of course the transport sector has been quite busy, so the transport sector has been emitting a lot of gas at 33.2%. We also have the waste sector that has been emitting 24.0% of gas. Therefore, all these affecting the whole climate. And of course, when we discuss of climate matters, or rather when we discuss of climate change in this particular county, we understand regardless of Nakuru County being at the forefront to dealing with climate change, we also have challenges as a county in in being able to mitigate the effects of climate change. And therefore, we probably hope by the end of the summit that, of course, will be going through us from today, going through to 6th of September, we probably believe that by the end of the summit, we shall be able to know how best can we mitigate the effects of climate change, and of course, what are some of the things that we do as humans that lead to climate change. Therefore, it is a story definitely I'll be following up also on this very end. I will be able to know what other plans does the county have regarding the ways that will be able to mitigate the effects of climate change. Therefore, that is all we have from this particular end, that is from Nakuru County. And for now, allow me hand over the mantle to you, Stanley, as I also pave way for other reporters from different counties to tell us what is happening, of course, in their counties. Over to you, Stanley Nyaringita. My name is Chichi Josephine.
Chichi Josephine from Nakuru, thank you for that. Basically talking about matters, different devolved units finding solutions to tackle the effects of climate change. She was talking about in Nakuru, and even the stakeholders she had, giving the whole solutions that they might have. But then from Nakuru to Bungoma, Wanji Sostin, how are you doing this particular day, even on this particular week? I can see there Bunge la Mwananchi, Bungoma County, mashinani. Tutarajie nini kutoka Bungoma leo, Wanji?
Thank you very much, Stanley Nyaringita, and I can get you loud and clear, of course, from here in Bungoma town. Nyaringita, remember last week President William Ruto had a 5-day tour in Western region, and being specifically here in Bungoma, he had 2 days, and he launched several projects and inspected some of them here in Bungoma. Just but to mention a few, he launched a Bungoma County Assembly building on his 2-day tour here in Bungoma. He also launched aggregated industrial park at Sangalo Institute, and also elevated the Institute to National Polytechnic. And he also visited several institutes here in Bungoma. And we just want to have Bungoma residents' reactions here. What the visit of President William Ruto had, which impact to this Bungoma residents. As we start with the first person here, as you can see, this is Bunge la Mwananchi, Bungoma County, Mashinani. I had a privilege of having to visit their parliament today. If you can come closer here, Baba, karibia hapa muweze kutueleza ni yepi haswa ambayo mulitarajia, na ni kipi haswa ambacho mnafikiri kwamba ziara ya Rais William Ruto iliweza kufanikishwa hapa katika kaunti ya Bungoma?
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Edward Wekesa, ama kwa Lupao, Speaker wa Bunge la Mwananchi Bungoma Mashinani. Kwa hivyo vile ndugu ameniuliza, leo ni siku yetu ambayo tunajiunga hapa kwa bunge letu la Mwananchi kuanza kutoa maneno yetu ambayo inafinya wananchi kwa ground. Lakini lile swali ambalo ameniuliza ni kwamba Rais alifanya ziara yake hapa Bungoma, lakini vile mnajua watu wengi hawana sauti ya kusema. Sisi ndio tunawaambia ama tunasema mambo yenye iliendelea. Sisi kama watu wa Bungoma, ziara ya Rais sijaona ikizaa matunda sana, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunatarajia mambo mengi ambayo Rais angetuletea, tukizingatia kwamba sisi ndio unajua tulichaza kile kikapu ambacho kilifanya yeye ndiye akakuwa rais wa nchi ya Kenya.
Naam, shukrani. Hii leo kuna kongamano la masuala ya climate change kule Nairobi. Hapa Bungoma kuna misitu, vyanzo vya maji kule Mlima Elgon. Je, ni kipi haswa ambacho nyinyi kama wakazi wa hapa Bungoma mnatarajia kuhusiana na kongamano hilo?
Asante sana. Sisi kama watu wa Bungoma, kitu yenye tunatarajia kwa hii mambo ya climate change ni kwamba tunataka kwanza, unajua hii climate change kama miti haitapandwa kwa wiki, hakuna vile mambo itakuwa mazuri, kwa sababu hiyo ndio chanzo ya kufanya hii climate ikuwe sawa. Alafu tena kitu chenye ningependa labda kuongezea, serikali haijaweka jitihada mzuri ya kukutilia manani mambo ya climate change hapa Bungoma.
Yeah, thank you Mr. Speaker. Let's have another person here. Nani atazungumza mwingine? Mwenyekiti, kwa utangulizi wa majina, ziara yake Rais William Ruto hapa Bungoma ilikuwa na manufaa yepi kwako kama mkazi wa hapa Bungoma?
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Steven Simiyu Wataka. Mimi ndio mwenyekiti wa bunge la mwananchi Bungoma mashinani. Na kwanza kabisa mimi nataka kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kutembelea huku Bungoma wiki jana, lakini mimi siwezi mulaumu Mheshimiwa Rais. Mimi nalaumu viongozi wetu wa hapa Bungoma, kuanzia kwa MCA, wabunge wetu, senator, women rep na viongozi wote wenye wanatoka hii mkoa wa Magharibi. Ningependa kusema ya kwamba ni kama hawakujipanga vizuri la kumweleza Mheshimiwa Rais anapokuja huku Bungoma vitu yenye indikana atufanyie, kwa sababu tuna vitu vingi ambayo tulikuwa tumetarajia kama wananchi wa Bungoma ya kwamba maybe viongozi wetu tuliowajakwama tuliowatanguliza mbele watamweleza Mheshimiwa Rais, naye huenda maybe anaweza implement ama anaweza tufanyia kama wakaaji wa Bungoma, kwa sababu sisi tunajifunia kwa kupita kwa Mheshimiwa Ruto, kwa sababu Bungoma ni county ambayo ilichangia bakubwa sana Mheshimiwa Rais kutangazwa kuwa rais. Lakini wakati Mheshimiwa amekuja, nimeona tu viongozi wetu wanashukuru Mheshimiwa kwa nafasi ambazo ameweza kuwapatia, na unajua nafasi zenye wengi wao wako nazo sina wafaidi wao peke yao, haziwezi kusa mwananchi wa hapa chini. Kwa hivyo mimi ningependa tu kusema ya kwamba siku ingine viongozi wetu wa Bungoma ama wa Western kwa jumla, mnapokaa na Mheshimiwa Rais, muwe kwa makini sana, mkaweza kumweleza vitu yenye anaweza fanyia fikakuza mwananchi wa chini.
Asante. Naam, Stanley, that is a bunge la mwananchi from here in Bungoma County, and because of time we will not engage each and every one of them. I take it back to you from Bungoma. My name is Wanji Sustain.
Wanji Sustain there from Bungoma County. Thank you for that. And actually, speaking of the president's tour in Bungoma and the whole western region, he is in KICC this particular morning for the Africa Climate Summit, which begins today and ends on Wednesday. But remember, the whole summit is all the way in the whole week, basically. And we do have live pictures for you. Remember, our team is there just to give you live coverage on this. And we do have this particular pictures, right, will be beaming for you what is happening in that particular area. Remember, quite a number of African delegates have been streaming into the country and even preceding now this. And consequentially, actually, a number of roads, the whole city roads have actually been closed due to actually allow and ease traffic, so that when most of these delegates streaming into the capital, they get ease into that particular area of that. Just to brief you on what is expected this particular morning, around 9 a.m., which is 29 minutes after the first plenary, the power of the potential panel, which basically comprises of President William Ruto, the AU Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural and Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment. That panel also includes the youth representatives, National Indigenous Peoples Coordinating Committee on Climate Change, and Samantha, and a number of people. And there you you'll be having one of those live pictures from KICC, as Kenyatta International Convention Center, as the first ever actually ACS, Africa Climate Summit, under the African Union kicks off today. Remember, our team is right there just to update you what is happening. We can cross over there and listen into what is happening.
Summit to recognize the contribution of indigenous people's traditional knowledge, which makes them more resilient to climate change. On climate finance for adaptation and resilience, despite the fact we do play a critical role in protecting the ecosystem that our lives entirely depends on. A recent study has shown that indigenous people receive less than
Right, we'll be sorting the whole audio technicalities a little bit later on. But then remember, that is the live pictures from the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the Africa Climate Summit has begun today and, well, continues tomorrow and also Wednesday. Preceding this particular summit, there were a number of summits just to prep for this, when we can cross over live to get to hear what is happening.
I said earlier, we are the most hit by the crisis of climate change. We therefore request for establishment of an Indigenous Peoples Climate Resilience Fund to mitigate against the impacts of climate change. On effective participation, and as climate change discourse continues to gain traction, the indigenous peoples, despite being the most vulnerable group, has continued to face systemic exclusion from decision making, and also have negatively impacted by the climate intervention, negatively impacted by the climate intervention and response measures, some of which are detrimental to the existence of indigenous people. During this summit and beyond, we request for effective and meaningful participation of African indigenous peoples, including creation of an African Union focal point at the AU headquarters, to have an indigenous person focal point who will be handling our matters at the AU. In conclusion, we reiterate again that although indigenous peoples contribute the less to carbon emissions that lead to climate change challenges, we continue to suffer the most. We are therefore here with solutions and experiential lessons from Mama Africa. We look forward to have our concerns, priority, and